Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'll start with a declaration. When I was the chairman of the Future of Banking Commission, that was funded by the Consumer Association, which may have influenced my views on this matter. Can I start by commending the chairman of the Select Committee for the tone of his speech? And agree with him that we should not let the smoke of political battle in this place come between us and actually rescuing one of the most important industries in the country. And I think that is something we should all bear in mind on all sides. The title of the debate and both motions from both sides is the professional conduct of the business of banking. It's not just about LIBOR and the LIBOR scandal. Indeed, frankly, if it was just a LIBOR scandal and I thought it stopped there, we could deal with that with two things: change the procedure to make it transaction-based and audited, and criminal prosecutions of everybody involved. And that would resolve the issue once and for all. But that is not as far as this goes. All of us know that the practice of banking in this country has become perverted by the huge perverse incentives which have led bankers to behave in ways which do not serve the economic interest of the country or the national interest in many ways, and indeed has had the opposite impact. And although the Select Committee Chairman has said that this will need to be tightly drawn, he's right on that, it will nevertheless go pretty far. And I am quite certain, for example, even if it's confined to banking, things like the derivative markets will get a lot of investigation in the course of the action of the committee. So I think we must understand that this is a much bigger issue than simply LIBOR. Secondly, I think we should take on board that what we're debating in here is we are debating the superstructure when perhaps we should be talking about the engine room of the inquiry we're about to undertake. What matters is the powers of whatever inquiry it is. And those powers actually are not so different, or do not need to be so different, between a judicial-led inquiry and a select committee-led inquiry. I'm afraid the gentleman who's just spoken was just plumb wrong about the status of select committees in this House and their powers. I speak as a past Public Accounts Committee chairman who summoned bankers, rail operators, pharmacy companies, all sorts of companies who did not want to come, who did not want to give their documents, who did not want to give evidence. We didn't take it on oath, but they did not want to give us evidence to the committee, but they were made to do so. The Treasury, I will of course give way.
I'm grateful to him. I just want to ask him about the skills, the relative skills of a parliamentary inquiry as opposed to a judge-led inquiry. Between us, some people in this House do have very deep skills, but not everybody. Whereas a judge-led inquiry would have the skills necessary to carry out the kind of deep inquiry that I think he rightly says is needed. Perhaps he could comment on that.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the cases that's been held up in this has been the DCMS Select Committee's inability to come to a unanimous view. Well, in my entire time as Public Accounts Committee Chairman, and I think all the subsequent chairmen too, there's never been anything other than unanimous outcome. The reason for that is the factual basis. And that's what this has to be. This has to rest on the facts, which is why the committee will need forensic accountants. It will need lawyers. It may need investigating teams. It will, I think I should say, need one change in the law. And the one change in the law it will need is protection for whistleblowers, because we don't have that. But that would also be true of a judge-led inquiry. It would need protection for whistleblowers, and that would open this up in its full extent. Now, I want to make one other point about the question of judge-led inquiries, and it comes back to the Leveson inquiry, and it is a point which is slightly embarrassing for my side of the House, but I'll make it anyway. Judge-led inquiries are not able to go round a criminal investigation without paying attention to that criminal investigation, and it can cramp what they do. And I recommend the House, if they did not see it, members of the House, if they did not see it, look back at the evidence given by Andy Coulson and Rebecca Brooks, both of them facing potential criminal charges, and if you look, you will see they were wholly useless days on the Leveson inquiry because the QC involved had to tiptoe around the issue. Now, in the issues that will be facing this inquiry, that may apply to almost every witness that appears. So I think we have to bear in mind that we don't solve that with a judge. We solve it with a different mechanism which either approach would have to use, and that, frankly, will be in-camera hearings about those people or with those witnesses. And so whilst your conclusion will have to be a very wide, open, wide-ranging, honest and transparent conclusion, your evidence-taking may not be able to be. Now, I also think that although a House inquiry will be faster than a judicial inquiry, and there's no doubt about that for the reasons the Chancellor stated, there is a simple problem that whatever inquiry will have trouble completing by Christmas. Whatever inquiry, because this has been... I've taken one, I can't take any more. Whatever inquiry will take a long time, because it's going to be a big issue, and it's got to be got right. Because frankly, if this issue is got wrong, if this inquiry is handled badly, if it turns out not to be well managed, it will do enormous damage to the City of London and the entire economy of this country. But if it's got right, and it leaves the City of London with a reputation for clean and honest dealing, it could be the most important single thing that happens under this government.
Stuart Hosen.